Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So, today we're going to do a couple TikToks. I wanted to cover the Jock Scientist. These ones I think are shorter, so I can go ahead and do the thing where I play the whole thing and then we react to it. So, I'm kind of tired. I will see how I do. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It is late, but I just want to film tonight, so let's go.
Worried if you gain weight. Are you actually worried about becoming fat, or are you worried if you gain weight, you'll have to examine how you've been treating people in different body sizes while no longer being able to rely on your physical appearance as a supplement for your personality? Who said that? Are you actually worried?
Okay, so I think she thinks she's really clever. I honestly, I don't know, but I have been feeling a bit smug as time has gone on. I think as I've been eating more, for some reason, my confidence has been going up and I've been feeling really smug. And so I feel like I can understand her smugness because maybe she's eating a lot. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding, but not. But I do think that that is something that people don't think about. And I recently thought about, I think it does affect the way your brain works. And you start to be really judgy and stuff. Which, I mean, whatever. I don't really care if people are judgy or not. Like, I know a lot of people are so big on, like, I'm not judgmental, blah, blah. I've never been that person on this channel. I do not give a fuck about being judgy or not. I just don't care because, duh, I'm literally an activist. You have to be somewhat judgy to be an activist, so that never made sense for my messaging. I will just always point out that they're the same way. They're very judgmental. So let's go ahead and listen to it again. Let's hear her smug judgment. You ready?
About becoming fat, or are you worried if you gain weight, you'll have to examine how you've been treating people in different body sizes while no longer being able to rely on your physical appearance as a supplement for your personality?
So I wonder if she's projecting too, because I feel like a lot of her brand would go out the window if she was actually thin. And I feel like this implies that there aren't a lot of fat people that use their physical form for a supplement to their personality. I think to the point where she's saying it, it's so on the nose that it's like I don't even know if she's aware that she's projecting, but she is. It's so common within the toxic ritualistic. It's so common within fat people in general to so heavily identify with being fat because it is a way for them to supplement their personality or even replace it entirely. And as far as like from a branding standpoint, you'll see a lot of people on social media do the same thing. So will people do that in terms of being in shape? Sure. Will they do it in terms of being fat? Yeah. Is it better to be in shape than to be fat? Yeah, it is. At least one takes effort and whatnot, especially if done healthfully. And that is an actual accomplishment. Being fat is not really a positive accomplishment whatsoever. So it doesn't make sense to be smug about being fat. I could see being smug about being in shape. You might not be as likable, but you also might be. I don't know. It depends on the person. But she's smug and she's fat. So I don't know. Let's react to some more. Okay, so let's go ahead and react to this one.
If your For You page has been anything like mine over the last few months, there's been this shift away from like body and weight neutrality and a push back toward diet culture, which I'm not surprised by. Like, that happens with every social movement because the status quo wants to stay where it is. But I had something really knock my frickin' socks off. Now, this is the type of content that I get, and this is not what I'm talking about, and this user is not responsible for this. The search bar? Are we seeing this? Because if you're not, let me tell you, 1200 calorie day. That's what it says down here in the search bar, which is not what this video was about either. And I thought surely if I click on it, it's going to give me one of those warnings and resources if you're struggling with a mental health issue. No, bitch. No. It gave me this. This is so dangerous. There are literal children and teenagers on this app. Oh, but it's enough for me and I'm trying to lose weight. Blah, blah, blah. It's not. Even for weight loss, this is not enough. Unless you're 3, you need to eat more than this. If your For You page has been anything like mine over the last few months, there's
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. I think that the jock scientist is unable to differentiate between something that's done temporarily and something that's forever. I think that there is a difference between having a certain deficit for all eternity, which I agree. I had a lot of people tell me when I was losing weight, or I still technically am. I'm still at a pound a week per deficit right now. But I was at a 2 pound per week deficit, and people were telling me that the way I'm eating now is the way I'm going to eat forever. And I told them all to fuck off. Basically, I said, fuck you. No, I'm not. Period. You got to be fucking kidding me. I'm not going to live off of this amount of calories for the rest of my life. Shove it up your ass. That's basically what I was telling people because it's a fuck no for me. And I do think that that's where people lose sight of what diet culture is. Diet culture is not like real. I don't know how else to describe it. It is not something you do forever. You're not trying to downsize perpetually for all eternity. So while I agree that that would be a ridiculous amount for maintenance, it's not ridiculous for downsizing at all, especially as a shorter woman. It's not. But it would be something that's more so temporary. And there you have it. So, no. Like, I've definitely gone up from where I was at my lowest. And I have changed my diet quite a bit as I've had more calories to work with. And all those people that told me I have to eat that way forever, they were wrong. I'm still losing and I'm eating a lot more than I was. So, no. But people, I don't know. People think they know everything. A lot of people are smug in diet culture. You have to realize that. And I understand it now because I feel it. But people get very smug and they say like platitudes and stuff all the time. And she's the same way. She's saying that too, but she's also making these rules that don't necessarily apply to every single person. She's being extremely blanket statemented, and she's not understanding that something can be temporary rather than forever and still be healthy, because that's the case too. So, no. Was what I was doing unhealthy? No, it wasn't. But did it need to be temporary? Absolutely. It had to be. Because no, like you don't always downsize at a maintenance level of intake. Like sometimes you do go below what you will maintain forever. But then once you're done and you're still healthy and you're still within a healthy range, then you go back up. And that's what I'm currently doing. So it's temporary. And people are very uncomfortable with that because there's been so many platitudes about this is the way you're going to eat forever and da da da. It's not true. If you're actually downsizing, if you're actually about it and you're actually downsizing for real, you're not going to do it forever because you're not going to downsize forever unless if you have a problem. Which I don't have that problem, so I ain't doing it. And anybody who would pressure somebody to do that is crazy. But by the same token, she's just as crazy because she is viewing the exact opposite as the facts, too. Two people can be wrong at once. But yeah, I think it should be understood that that would be more so temporary. Okay? All right, let's see. I think there's one more I want to react to from Tracy T. Okay, so this one I think is kind of interesting because I feel like she's also really smug, but she's trying to demonize being smug by being smug. That's an interesting one. So she's probably also overeating. Just saying. Anyways, let's go ahead and watch the whole thing and then we'll play it back.
You know, when I was younger, it was really uncool and really lame to be seen as vain or shallow. And I feel like that's just completely not the case anymore. Like, we just no longer judge people for being hyper obsessed with appearance or with their own appearance. And to be honest, I kind of think we need to bring it back, because when people's entire world is consumed by their appearance, one, they get so boring to be around, and two, it just makes for kind of a worse world because everybody's so self-absorbed ultimately. It's like that Jemima Kirk quote where she's like, I think you guys are thinking about yourselves too much. Like, that's why vanity is a flaw. And I think with like the self-love movement and all that, we got really caught up in that and it became about vanity. But I think there's a huge difference between self-love and vanity. And like, you can certainly appreciate your appearance in moderation, but like the preening, the obsession, I think that should become taboo again, because it's making a lot of you guys kind of mean and shallow and boring. You know, when I was young...
Okay, so I just want you guys to ask yourselves, how many judgmental statements did she make in that? And how many smug statements did she make? She really thinks she's the best person in the whole world. And again, I'm not here to be the smug police. I feel very smug as well. I will say I do. I feel very, very smug lately. But I can recognize it in other people really, really well. She is so lectury. She's so annoying. She wants to talk about annoying and boring. You don't think that you're annoying and boring? You don't think that your attitude is annoying and boring? Because I think so. And again, I'm in a smug era right now, so I can be smug right back. I think you're boring. I think what you talk about is shallow. I think it's incredibly shallow, what you talk about in general. Everything you talk about is about appearance. You are the last person who should be lecturing people on talking about appearance all the time when you're obsessed with yours. I mean, do fat activists actually think that their takes are original or interesting? Because it's literally the fat activist hive mind, or like they all have the same script. They all just copy each other word for word, which I understand that from an activistic perspective. But honey, activism has to be made interesting. Activism is boring because it's very repetitive. Duh. So again, I wouldn't necessarily try to brag about being so interesting when, quite frankly, you're often not. Your tone is not interesting. It's always the same thing over and over again. You know, there's a lot of reasons I have eras on this channel, which, for the record, some of which is because it does reflect where I'm at physically within my downsizing journey. Like right now, feeling very smug as my serotonin goes up from eating more. I feel very prideful and very smug. But some people, they're eating a lot all the time, so it's always elevated. So they're smug for no reason. They're just smug because they're overeating. And my whole thing is, the other part of it is it keeps it interesting. Things change on this channel. I keep it moving because you have to. You got to do different stuff as an activist because it's boring. You have to cover different things. You have to evolve as an activist as well. So it works in terms of activism, and it also does work as documentation. So I think it's worked extremely well, and I feel so proud of myself for what I've done on this channel. And like I said, I feel very smug. But Abby feels smug too. Let's listen to it again.
It was really uncool and really lame to be seen as vain or shallow.
So as opposed to what? So what is uncool and lame to you is not necessarily going to be the same for a lot of other people. And I don't know if you're going to have the sway anymore because you don't seem cool to me. You just don't. I'm going to be real about it. I think you need a little bit of a personality refresher if you're going to try to apply more social pressure. I just don't think this is giving. I don't think you have the riz to pressure anybody into what's cool or not. I don't think you're cool. I just don't. That might be bitchy to say, but I'm just going to be real about it. I don't think you're a cool person. I don't. So who the hell is going to listen to you? Who's going to listen to Abby about what should be cool or not? I mean, seriously, is this the activistic point? Like, all right, I wouldn't necessarily say that fat activists are the coolest people in the world. I wouldn't even consider myself that cool, to be honest. I don't think I am. I really don't. I don't think I'm the worst, but honey, I'm probably midline coolness at best. There is an introverted ceiling there, and I'm very introverted. So I'm probably always going to be midline cool. I try. I really try, but the only reason I'm halfway eating right now is because you're so uncool. I'll be real about it. If Abby was actually a cool person, I probably couldn't do it. I probably couldn't outcool her. The fact that I can, as a very introverted girly pop, that means you are seriously lacking in riz. It's bad. I just want you to know. I don't know if Abby's extroverted, but I hope not. If she is, then it's real bad. I should not be able to outdo you. I'm just being real. I shouldn't.
And I feel like that's just completely not the case anymore. Like, we just no longer judge people for being hyper obsessed with appearance.
Okay, so are you trying to be non-judgmental, or are you trying to be judgy? Like, you need to pick a lane. I think fat activism has struggled with this so much. I think it's because there is like a toxic ritualistic foundation for fat activism. So meaning that E followed by the letter D is behind it, particularly Hinge. So there's a lot of vacillation. So it's like, I want to be super judgmental, but then I don't want to at all. But then I want to, but then I don't. But then I want to, but then I don't. But then I want to, but then I don't. You see, it vacillates. And that's, so fat activism, it's always had a weakness because there's no actual like vibe behind it. Are you free and open, or are you judgmental and telling people what to do? They don't know. They don't know. I know. I'm telling you not to be fat. I'm telling you to get to a healthy weight. I'm telling you to normalize your weight for the sake of your health. I'm very clear. I'm telling you what to do. I'm not trying to be like super free range on this channel. I've never ever said that. I've been very clear about my messaging. People should normalize their weight as part of taking care of yourself. So I'll say it till the cows come home, but I have a clear message. I have clarity there. You guys don't. You need to figure it out, because this is bad.
Appearance. And to be honest, I kind of think we need to bring it back, because...
Okay, well, just, are you going to be able to handle it if it's brought back to you? Because again, I can meet you there. I can be a mirror. I can be just as smug back to you, but are you going to be able to handle it? And are other fat activists going to be able to handle it? Because I don't know if you can. I don't know. I think the funny thing about it is like they never expect somebody to disagree. They never expect somebody to say, I think that's wrong. They don't expect that. They don't know what to do. I have people come on my channel sometimes and they try to tell me that I'm wrong. And you know what happens? I step up to them and I say, no, you're still wrong. I'm right. I'll say that. Or I'll prove them wrong using different arguments. Or if I just don't care, then I won't respond. But a lot of the time I will say something if I feel like it's worth it to say something. And I can push back. And then people that comment negatively, they're the same way as these fat activists. They're like, you're actually going to say something back to me? And I'm like, uh-huh. And you can't have it pressed. You can't handle being pressed up against either. You can't handle your points being pushed back. They can't handle it. And it's just funny because people will be like, oh my gosh. Like, I've had a lot of people throughout the years be like, Alex, you can't handle any criticism. No, 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 no. You can't handle it. No, no, no. Honey, I can handle it. I may be an emotional girly pop. I might even be reactive on a day, give or take. I might be passionate. But honey, clearly I can take it. Have I quit? Did I stop? Did I change my message because you told me something I didn't agree with? No. Typically, no. Maybe on very rare occasion. Very rarely. There are very few things. There are some things where my messaging has changed, but most of it, no. But that's the thing. My ideas, they've already been reflected upon. I've already had a rigorous process. So when people say things, I usually have something to say. And people don't like that. Because, I don't know, I guess they expect an activist to be like apologizing all the time. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but it ain't me. Okay, let's continue.
When people's entire world is consumed by their appearance, one, they get so boring to be around.
I agree. When people make their whole life about being fat, they're very boring. It's not an actual personality. It's not an actual, like, replacement for a life. Being fat is not having a life. You still need to get one. You can be fat with a life, but if fatness is all there is to you, you don't have a life. And you also don't have a personality. So you're very boring. It gets boring. It can get repetitive, especially if you're a toxic ritualistic person. You can be really, really, really repetitive, which I'm just letting you know, it's boring to people. It can be, and that's okay. Like, I'm not trying to shame anybody who's repetitive. I get it. I am too. I have that Scorpio energy in me. I get really, really repetitive. So I'm a good activist because I can say the same thing 20 bajillion times. That's a part of activism, is being repetitive. But like I said, you got to compensate for it. You got to have some kind of personality. You got to have something. You got to say something differently sometimes. Or you got to actually like shift a little or accomplish something, or I don't know, get something done. Not just apply a very weak amount of social pressure that's not going to do anything at all because you have no argument and you're not even particularly emotionally engaging as a person. You're just not. So I don't know what lane you think you're going down, but I'm not seeing it. And I appreciate it. As I've said in the past, I really appreciate when people within fat acceptance are totally ineffectual. And I think that she is. At least within this video. I don't think I've seen anything where I've been particularly impressed for quite a while. From an activistic standpoint, I think maybe she was better 2 or 3 years ago. Where she could actually like say something and have like something to it. I think she's not even really doing her podcasts anymore. I mean, if it's not for you, I guess it's not for you.
And two, it just makes for kind of a worse world because everybody's so
How? Okay. Because
absorbed ultimately. It's like that Jemima
being
curse.
in fat acceptance is not self-absorbed. Again, you shouldn't be so obviously projecting. You need to actually provide something different if you're going to make these arguments. Your movement doesn't provide anything different. You're just as self-absorbed, if not worse. If not worse. I can understand. I have a lot of contempt for diet culture influencers. I do. I dove in deep this August and I literally cannot stand it at all because I have so many issues with the way it is, with all the conflicting messages. It's so annoying. And towards September, I just got so angry at the diet culture takes, especially because so many of them are so unhelpful and so annoying. And I couldn't stand it by the end of like the depths of how far down I went. I couldn't handle it anymore, you know? And it's like, I have almost a sensitivity to it because a lot of people say it's like ridiculous, it's not workable, or it's just flat out unhelpful. And it really irritated the hell out of me. So I understand having some contempt for that. I understand, like, you know, watching two guys have a pissing contest about who has abs and who doesn't, and who's this and who's that and who's natty and who isn't, and whatever the hell. And it is very superficial and it is dumb. And I think it does make anti-fat acceptance look stupid. I think it does. But honey, as if you're any kind of an antidote to that. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. I think it's even worse. It's even dumber. It's even more superficial. It's even more shallow. It's even worse. At least they accomplished something. What did you accomplish? What did you accomplish besides overeating?
Quote where she's like, I think you guys are thinking about yourselves too much. Like, that's why vanity is a flaw. And I think with like the self-love movement and all that,
it's funny. It's just funny because it's funny to hear her say that. Maybe she's starting to understand. I hope that she's starting to understand the flaws in her movement and where it went wrong. Because obsession is still obsession. So you didn't actually offer anything different. When I started this channel, I literally said not to think about it. I advocated to not think about it, or to think about it as little as possible, especially within a toxic ritualistic recovery. I even attacked your movement because you guys are so hyperfixated on how you look from the beginning. And yeah, it can apply to fitness influencers or to diet culture influencers and people like Liv Schmidt. It absolutely can. I think Liv Schmidt is about as deep as a puddle. Sorry, oh gosh, I don't even want to think about her. Because I have so much contempt, basically. But the point is, at least she's happy. You're not even happy. At least she has a smile on her face as she's doing her little thing. She's making her money from what she does, and she goes off and has her moment in New York City or whatever the hell she was doing. She takes a video in the shopping bag, and you know, she's having her little shallow moment. I mean, she's 23 years old. I'm not going to judge her that bad. She's pretty young. At least I think she is. Maybe she just had a birthday. She might even be a Scorpio or something. Oh my gosh, I think I just realized I think she was a Scorpio. Not used to Scorpios being that shallow, but maybe it's all an act anyways. Who knows? The point is, she's 23, 24 now, maybe. I'm not going to shade her that bad. I still will. But it's not going to be that bad. But it's like, honey, I don't know how old you are, Abby. I don't know. But I don't think you're 23. And I'm sorry, but standards change a little bit with age. They do. And that's okay. It's a natural part of life. For example, when you're older, you don't have to look as good, but you have to be more mature. Maybe have a bit more depth. Maybe have some perspective. Maybe not be so self-absorbed as you're older. It starts to look bad. Maybe you have to not be so crazy indulgent or just, you know, partying all the time and stuff like that. Maybe you need to get your shit together a bit because your standards are higher. But sure, it's okay if you have some stretch marks. Nobody really cares post 30. because you have other priorities. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying. Oh, gosh. Oh, my Lord.
We got really caught up in that and it became about vanity. But I think there's a huge difference between self-love and vanity. And like, you can certainly appreciate your appearance in moderation.
Yeah, one is that you're happy about it and the other one is that you're not happy about it. And I guess she would just advocate for people to not actually be happy about how they look. Which, okay. Okay, that's your argument. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with vanity downsizing. I've said it. I don't think so at all. But I do think that if that's all you have is your vanity, that is a problem. That is imbalanced. That is also spiritually imbalanced. But to not care about it at all, that's also spiritually imbalanced. It has to be kept in balance. Because you should care a little bit. I got joy out of buying this cardigan. I love it. I personally love the way it looks. And I love wearing it. I think it's comfortable. I like it so much. And to me, it is dressing a slightly better than I've been dressing. And that is vanity. But I'm happy about it. But it is to my own standard. I don't think my mom likes it. She's like, it's like an old man sweater, da da da. But I don't really care that she doesn't like it, because I do. Because I live by my own standard. Which again, I get that other people are people pleasers. I understand that. I totally get it. But for me, I am a creative person and I do like to create for myself. I do. And part of creativity and part of balancing out my chakras, I'm not even saying that to be pretentious, even though it sounds super pretentious and I kind of love it in my SMUG video today, is focusing on my appearance and stuff and focusing on these things. It does help to balance and realign my chakras. It does. It gets me more into the lower vibrational chakras like root, sacral, solar plexus, which I don't spend enough time there. Because I'm usually in the higher chakras and I'm overly feminine spiritually. So focusing on that, it helps. It helps you balance out. But yeah, if it was all I cared about, I didn't care about anything else, or I didn't care about a bigger picture, or I didn't care about my future. If my third eye was blind, so to speak, and I didn't have any long-term plan, and I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want whenever I want to. Yeah, that would be stupid too. It would be dumb if I was like not focusing on the big picture at all, especially in my 30s. I wasn't trying to help the collective in any way or trying to give back or something. I wouldn't personally feel good about that, especially with the survivor's guilt I had from getting out of supermorbid obesity. I wouldn't feel good about that. I would feel like that would be imbalance for me. And if I couldn't express myself with my throat chakra, then I would also be imbalanced. It would be a problem. But clearly, this is throat chakra blue. This is third eye chakra blue. Clearly, I'm good. But you guys are telling me blue is my color. And I don't think my throat chakra is blocked. Clearly, I can really speak. I can speak as a total bitch, too. Which is a very strong throat chakra, for the record. But anyways, let's finish it up. Let's wrap it up, Abby.
But like the preening, the obsession, I think that should become taboo again, because it's making a lot of you guys kind of mean and shallow and boring.
Okay. Well, call me Haley Williams from 2009 in Brand New Eyes, but next time you point a finger, I'll point you to the mirror. Okay? Look up that song, Playing God. It's a vibe. It's super smug, though. Haley Williams is so smug. But I'm remembering why I liked her in high school, because I was really smug in high school. And you guys just don't get it. I was deep and everyone else was shallow when I was in high school. You don't get it. No, but no, but yeah, I was just as smug as Haley in high school. And I loved that song, and I'm gonna start using it now. So next time you point a finger at me, I'll point you to the mirror. Okay? I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.